What's up, Junkies? Welcome back to another great episode of Culture Junkies Live. It's your boy Kenshiro, episode 206 of Culture Junkies Live. Today we're going to talk about the Mario milestone that's coming up and kind of my beef with it. We're also going to talk about kind of this, the RetroCrush app that just came out, and it's a hit with classic anime fans. So we'll kind of give you our review of that and also kind of what you should be looking forward to. And also, today was announced something that could possibly revitalize the comic book publishing world. So we'll get to all of that. But first, I'm going to hit it over to the man on my right and the man across from me, the great Dadakuji. Oh, excuse me, not in this order. GQ and the great Dadakuji. What's up, fellas?
Hi, everybody. Wait, let me do this whole thing. Hi, everybody.
I mean, you could talk a little bit louder.
You want me to talk louder?
Yeah, talk normal.
I can talk a little bit louder.
Yeah, talk normal.
I'm talking a little bit normal. This is my radio voice.
You got the exact
just
opposite
joking.
radio
I think it's the complete opposite radio voice.
Exact opposite. No, I really don't talk like that. I'm just talking like this. So, hey, everybody. Thank you for joining with us.
And also from remote, the Super Nerd Plus. What's up? What's up, family?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yee.
Hey, he's there.
Yeah,
I'm there, and I'm
he's
about to
in
disappear.
quarantine. He's in quarantine. Or is it more like he's just not allowed to leave the house?
I don't know.
Is it something
Man,
like that?
fuck that. Work at the airport. Y'all smoking hella herb. I am not. Hell, it's bad enough I got to be at work and bumping into people and shit. Fuck
You don't
that.
have to.
You chose
You
to
could-
stay.
you could-
You
you
could have
could-
taken that leave.
No, you don't have to take the leave. You could just talk to people from across the airport. Just be like, hey, what's your social security number?
I wish.
From across the
You got
terminal.
it. And I'd rather be at home chilling anyway.
I
So I
don't
really
know.
take that.
Hey, all I know is I'm selling all my stock in Disney. I'm about to buy some Warner Brothers stock. Get on that DC train. Yep. It's going to be awesome.
You know this is April Fool's, right? There's no way in hell he'd ever do that.
DC is coming back, man.
All right, DC.
Oh, you know what?
They got
They,
the plan.
they dumping like all the Snyder films,
all of
man.
it. They
Right.
got their plan coming, and they about to do it
Hey,
all
man,
over.
look.
Start over.
They're going to do it
All
big.
I know is I watched Batman vs Superman, the Ultimate Edition
On
today.
purpose?
Well, yeah, man.
That's a
like,
Snyder cut.
no, it's not. Well, technically, yes.
It
For
is the Snyder cut
BVS,
because
yes,
that
it
was
is.
the
Technically,
film
yes.
he wanted to do.
Right. So technically, yes, that is the Snyder cut for that. But I have to admit, I think I was wrong about that film. I think it's
Really?
yeah. I think,
Okay, have
I think
fun
I
with
was
that.
wrong with that.
Have fun with
I think I was wrong.
What's up,
about
John
that
P?
film.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah. No, I think I was wrong. I think I may have harshly misjudged that film. I think we all have. LGZ had it right all along. I think that movie was really great.
Yeah.
Does anybody buy that?
No,
No?
not
Not
even
at
for
all.
a
I don't
dollar.
think I've watched it since it came into theater, so I
Oh.
don't really remember.
So you've
much
never
of it.
seen the theatrical? I'm sorry, the extended cut.
No.
Okay.
I
The
mean,
extended
does-
the extended cut now, and it's in it to its credit, it adds a couple of things that fills in some of them stupid like questions you had when you left the theater, like how do you frame Superman using bullets? It filled in the gap of like, okay, if people were riddled with bullets, I don't think Superman's going around using machine guns or anything. Not last I checked.
no.
So what they actually did is they piled up the bodies and burned them. So it was like, oh, that makes sense. Heat vision. Okay, cool. He burnt bodies. Superman must have lost his mind.
Yeah.
That made sense.
Did it really though?
For that, yeah, I accepted that way more than we're gonna frame Superman with some bullets. Like, so. So I mean, it had a few little extra things that were added, but it doesn't change the fact that the movie had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. That movie was great.
They should have just let
It was
somebody,
great exactly the way it
comic
was.
book writer, write a screenplay.
Yep.
I don't quite. I mean, I don't know if they do that in Marvel, but I don't see why that's a bad option because you got so many comic book writers who are apparently good at what they do. Just hey, let's do this.
Oh wait, John P over there in the chat. Just so y'all know, this is gonna be something we do at the beginning of each show coming up soon. This is a change that's coming.
Yeah.
But
The change is coming.
Yeah.
Anyway, go
John
ahead.
P is saying that the Disney park's about to get sued because they're making people pay their year pass, even though the virus has got them closed. The actual fine print in that covers that. They're good.
Mouse.
It's the truth.
The
fine
mouse
print,
always has a
the
plan.
the fine print covers the fact that if the parks are closed, you ain't getting no refund. It's straight
It's
up
evil.
I mean,
The evil empire.
They cover their bases. Trust me. So just to let y'all know.
It is what it is. That's why shouldn't buy a year pass to go to Disney World. How many times can you ride those rides?
Hey man, this virus needs to hurry up, be over with, so we can get down there, man.
Oh, heck yeah. It needs to end.
I'm just
look,
saying.
May 1st. You got your deadline.
Right. All right, y'all. So we got a fun show in store for you with an exciting new change, I think, that you guys might enjoy later. But first and foremost, let's hit the topics that we're going to be covering right now.
Time to rant.
All right, so check it out, right? So obviously, time to rant implies that there's something to rant about. And for me, there is something to rant about. So, all right, so Nintendo, their legendary mascot, Mario, you know this guy, is coming up on a very important milestone. 35 years, right? 35 years Mario's been since the original Super Mario Brothers. And that's a lofty goal. I mean, does anybody not? I mean, Mario kind of helped kick it all off, you know, for video games as far as like mascots and everything. Kind of brought it back. You know, he was the big man on campus. He's worth all this attention and this love. Nintendo, for the celebration, what are they going to give you? They're going to give you a bunch of remakes of games you've already played, of games that you've probably beaten 2 or 3 times already. Why? Because see here, okay. So my problem is that Nintendo are probably the biggest pimps in the video game industry, because the cult of Nintendo will buy up anything they put out that's Mario related. Basically might be the same game over and over and over again, and they'll still pay for it. And the man sitting right across from me is one of the prime examples of this.
I'm gonna tell you something.
You tell me something, because how can you justify buying? Okay, right. So if they were to bring out Super Mario Brothers again, right? You've already had Super Mario Brothers All Stars. You already has Super Mario Brothers on Game Boy Color. So how many times have you beaten Super Mario Brothers, and why do you need to beat it again?
Look, I'm going to tell you something. I believe that your information has been a little bit cloudy.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something, because 2 things. Number 1, Resident Evil 3 just got a remake. What's wrong with that? People played that game 20 years ago. They beat it. Dude, let me hear you something.
Come on.
Resident Evil is a great game, and I'm not taking away from that. But Mario helped bring back, in the United States, video games. But we're not even going there. But some of the games that are getting remade have not been remade, and they haven't been around in 20 years, and they're on systems that if you try to hook up to your HD TV, they look like shit. Mario 64.
NES Classic.
Mario 64. I want to see a remake that looks like Mario friggin' Odyssey or Mario Galaxy. That was one of them that was named.
But why?
Mario Sunshine. Bro, have you looked at it? That's like, okay, for example, you're playing your Atari 2600 and you're playing Defender on that bitch. Right? And like, oh my god.
Defender has its charm. You shouldn't remake that.
Mario has its charm.
We were just playing Defender before the show, dude.
It
looks bad.
You need to remake it. They did remake it on PlayStation 2, and they made it a lot better. Not saying that Defender's on that level of Mario.
Of course not.
Mario 64, one of the greatest platformers that has ever graced a television screen that you twiddled your thumbs with, are amazing. I love to see that game remade, and I will replay it and buy it. Mario Sunshine. That game, I own it, and I have a hard time playing it because the camera in it is not as good as Mario 64. I don't know how they went backwards.
Which is weird. They did go backwards.
Extremely weird.
Man, come on now.
You get a remake of that, and they will perfect it. That's something I like. Granted, I understand your plight about they came out with the Mario
All-Stars.
Back in the NES. And you had Mario All-Stars.
And you had NES Classic.
And the NES Classic is just doing the older stuff.
Then you had the Super NES
But
Classic.
they never put Mario 64 out there.
Nope.
They never did Mario Sunshine. Paper Mario. These are Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 does not have RGB out. It is friggin'... I don't even think it's 480i. It still might be 240p.
No, it's 480.
It might be...
Yeah, it's 480.
But it's not... It's I. It's not...
Yeah.
It's not progressive.
No, you're right.
And it looks terrible. It is terrible. And from one who enjoyed the Resident Evil 3 remake, why would you even say...
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, right?
It's basically the same thing conspiracy.
How?
Great game.
How?
I already explained it to you. When did Mario 64 get remade? When did Resident Evil 3 get remade?
Okay.
First times ever. It's not like they remade it every single year, kept putting the thing out. Resident Evil 3's first time getting remade. Same
Okay,
thing with Resident Evil 2.
you tell me this, right? You tell me, does Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 3 remake, do they play like almost brand new games that you can
They
barely
do play like 100%
brand new game, right?
But that's not the issue here because the game is fun. First off, you don't know what things they might put into it. If they don't make it look better, if it looks like the Nintendo 64 one with just a higher resolution, then that's a problem. But you also have to remember that you got people out there who have never played it. These Nintendo Switches just came out, and you got kids who were born within the last 10 years.
Yep, that's
that
exactly
I'm pretty
what.
sure that have never played a Mario game
Really?
like that in their
Yep.
life. They might have played
Really?
Mario Odyssey, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, really.
No, but
Really?
that's what
Really?
DBL King brought up in the
What
chat.
did he
And
say?
he says Mario Sunshine's his favorite as well, but he said the younger
That
fans
was
who haven't
fire.
played, it said the younger fans who haven't played it yet might be new to
Okay,
the Mario.
I got an argument for
Exactly.
that. I got an argument for that.
Okay,
There's these little things, they're called emulators, right?
but see,
That-
how does
wait,
emulation
stop.
help
Wait,
Nintendo?
Wait. It doesn't help Nintendo, right?
Well,
Here-
well,
Stop. Wait. So
Okay, have
here's
fun.
my
Okay,
thing,
Boomer.
right? You're saying really? So here's my deal. I got kids, are Nintendo's age, right? They got cell phones. Their cell phones are loaded with all these old emulated
Can I
games
ask you a
that they've
question?
already played
Can I ask you a question?
and that they've beaten. What?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you a normie?
My kids are normies.
No. Are you a normie?
No, I'm not a
So
normie.
you introduce them to a lot of stuff because you, sir, are not a normie. But they have tons of people out there that are normies. And for all you people out there watching this show, I don't know if you are a normie or not, but normies don't play video games like us. Normies don't know what EMUs or emulators are. Normies have probably played a Super Nintendo back when they were 10 or 12 years old
And
and
that's it.
haven't touched a video game
That's
since.
the
And then when they see this stuff, they're like, oh my gosh, I played this when I was 10 or 12 years old.
Nostalgia is a
Let
hell of a
me
drug.
re-buy these things.
Hey, that's my line.
It's
Nostalgia's
the
a
truth,
hell of a
though.
drug.
But
That's
it's
my
the
line.
truth. But first of all, you already shot yourself in the foot by saying emulators. Nintendo's putting this out because it makes them money.
Exactly.
It's a proven product. It's a proven commodity. That's why Star Wars, even no matter how divisive it is now, works because that's almost like saying, oh, they should have just stopped with the original trilogy, not made anything else.
Some people would say that.
And,
Some
they,
people
and
say
guess
that.
what? The people that say that end up in the poorhouse because they don't for real because they don't understand that. Look, Lucas brought episode what was it? Episode 1 when he did Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
He got $2 billion from Pepsi before that movie even came out.
That's true. He did.
So the brand is lucrative. Mario is on that level. Mario is a franchise that each time you have a new system or if you upgrade, because again, Mario All Stars came out on the Super Nintendo, it came out on the Wii, and what else did it come out on, D? I know they've dropped it at least a
one?
few times. Mario All Stars, because remember All Stars each time
Just
they
those two.
just those two.
Yeah.
Okay, but
It was the exact same game that was on the Wii, though. That was on Super Nintendo.
okay, but the Super Nintendo version was still an updated version, though, as far as the graphics and the look and everything.
Compared to the NES.
Right, so they're just doing that again because they know it's going to sell. It's and especially if they're going back and if they remake Mario 64, that's a system seller for some people.
They've never done that before. They've never touched Mario 64. They never touched Sunshine. Sunshine is going on 20 years. Mario is going on, 25, 24
so check it out.
years?
Mike Z says, upon saying, Disney Star Wars sucks, by the way. He said, to which I replied, slander will not be tolerated.
It doesn't matter about slander. It matters that money, those movies made bank, though.
They did.
It doesn't matter if the people. Here's the
like
thing:
them.
the fans can hate on it all they want. The stockholders and the people that are like going to continue to make these movies just need to see that bottom line.
I'm not even saying it's all the fans. I'm just saying I don't get it because for me, Resident Evil 3, that's different.
Still a remake.
I get it. It's a remake, but it feels
it's
like
a
a brand new
reboot.
game.
I always get
I
those
don't
two
know.
confused.
Yeah,
Remake,
I don't know. I don't know.
It does
what
feel
the
like a
two
brand new game.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay,
arguing with
it feels
that,
like
but
a brand
it's
new
the
game.
whole
And Mike
thing
Z-
about it is saying, hey,
Mike Z says it feels like it's a cash grab.
and it can be considered a cash grab, but
Everything is a cash
I
grab in
think-
business.
I think I would be more
Exactly.
I would be upset and think like you if it was Mario All Stars again. If we would get Mario All Stars on a Nintendo Switch, I'd be
Yeah.
like, all right, come on, Nintendo.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
But because
okay, but
it's
what if it is like
but-
a Mario All Stars?
no,
basically?
but if
The lineup is different.
yeah, the lineup is if you got Paper Mario, like I said, Mario Sunshine, you got Mario 64, you got the ones that have not been touched in over 20 years or close to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that excites me because I do like Mario. One of the reasons why I got heavy in the game, I started out with an Atari 800. I didn't have 2600. That was a computer. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't just a video game system. It was Atari 800. Still had the cartridges on it. But when I saw that NES for the first time, I remember that day. I wish I remember the date, but I remember where I was at and what I was doing. It was a barbecue. I was inside playing Mario, trying to get past stage 1, 2, and I was having fun. That cemented.
How old were you?
I had to be 8, maybe 6.
And you were struggling with stage 1, 2?
Shut up.
You gotta remember, first time anybody's ever played that.
Yeah, he acted like, oh, master, I beat that game. He's probably like a freaking dude with the power glove in the movie, like, it's so bad. It's like, get out of here. Lucas, it was literally my first time. Literally my first time playing that game. And Atari systems didn't have
water.
Not only that, Outlast is the one you can just, anytime you say anything about video games, we'll just bring up Outlast.
That horror game?
Yeah, that one he played. You was there too.
Whatever.
When Kenshiro couldn't contain himself playing the game, got scared. In
he
a
was
basement
screaming?
full of other people.
Hey man, look, I'm gonna play Resident Evil 3 on stream just so y'all.
Yeah, in the middle of the day. Here we go.
In the middle. Shut up. Anyway, so that was my gripe against Nintendo. If you guys got points, counterpoints, agree, disagree, which I'm sure a lot of you will disagree. I don't care. Put it in the chat. Let's get on to the next topic. For the culture. Super Nerd wanted to talk about RetroCrush. So what's up, man?
Hey, RetroCrush. RetroCrush is the anime app. It's
No,
free.
Stop right now. Just stop.
All right, so check it. What do you mean? I can sing shit.
Stop. No. I heard you sing. No, you can't. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm a OG. But no, so RetroCrush just came out. It's basically all the old school animes we liked growing up in the 90s. With me in the 90s. So the only thing I didn't see on there was Ninja Scroll.
That's a knock against it right there. But no, explain more about kind of like RetroCrush and kind of the lineup that it's got. Like what is on there that kind of like made you kind of perk up and pay attention?
Well, the one thing I just saw, somebody posted on social media. I'm like, RetroCrush is free. I read the article. It's like it's a free app. You can download this, that, and third. I'm the best. So I checked it out. They got pretty much a nice amount of anime.
They do.
He said, "What? Yeah, they got Robot Carnival. I ain't seen that in years.
Sci-Fi Channel, I think, is the last time I saw that.
Exactly.
8 Man After.
Street Fighter 2 movie. My favorite,
Project
Echo.
Project Echo is on there, man. But it was subtitled. I'm like, I still watched it. And I was like, damn, I ain't seen Project Echo in years either. That was like one of my favorite animes I just watched on Saturday mornings. And I think Fist of North Star is on there too, I believe.
Okay.
Wicked City.
Yeah, Wicked City on there. So, when I took a look at the RetroCrush app, right, there's a lot of really good ones on here. But you know what struck me a little bit is like, this isn't really, it's nothing really new. Like if you have Amazon Prime, all of these were actually on Amazon Prime
talking
already.
video.
Yeah, a lot of these were already on Amazon Prime. I guess that's the bonus of it is that you don't have to have Amazon Prime in order to watch all these for free, which is good. So
your complaint about an app called RetroCrush is that they don't have new stuff.
No. That's
right.
not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, this isn't. If you already have Prime, you already had access to these. But
isn't this a free app though?
No, it is.
It is.
Really? I just said that. I said it's a good thing for those of you that don't have Prime because now you'll have access to these, because these were actually already on there. But one of the things that I see a few smattering of them, right? So the Central Park Media lineup that had like Crying Freeman Freeman is on here. It should be on here. It really should.
It should be. I'm glad I still got the DVD.
Yeah, me too. So,
I got my copy you made for me, D.
Which one?
I got the copy you made for me.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't copy you nothing. You were imagining things.
Yeah. So
I do. I still got 3 discs.
And like I can't remember, was Bubblegum Crisis Central Park Media?
I know, but
I
John
believe
P.
it was.
John P. just brought that up in the YouTube chat. He's like, "What y'all know about Bubblegum Crisis?"
Bubblegum Crisis was the truth.
That was
dude.
one of the things I was looking for.
That was one of the first ones I saw back in the day.
I wanted to make sure that was on here, and it was on here. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of ADV stuff. All they need is that. Do it now. They put that in there, and it's complete. Just in between.
we could go over like a lot of the ones that are missing from this app. But let's focus on maybe ones that.
Is Fatal Fury on there?
Fatal Fury isn't, but Street
it
Fighter
is
is.
not. Street Fighter is. Street Fighter 2 is. Subbed
Hey,
and
I think
dubbed.
it's Virtual Fighters on there too, I believe.
Virtual Fighter
No,
is.
let's not talk about that.
Virtual
Please,
Fighter's
let's
a
not talk
waste.
about that
That
show.
is-
That is a waste of
It
time.
was terrible.
I'm a big Virtual Fighter fan, and I'm ashamed of that. I'm ashamed of that series.
It is pretty
It
terrible.
it's bad.
Yeah.
So some of the ones that I would love to pick out, obviously, I'm gonna go with the money ones. Wicked City,
Wicked shit.
the Professional Go-Go
They got
13.
Ryan Bean on
Dude,
here.
Riding Bean is
yeah,
on
dude.
there. Yep.
Riding
Now,
Bean is on
that's
here.
a good one to put on because that's actually out of print.
Yeah,
And, Hand of Omega, you're wrong. Angel Cop is on there.
Angel
I don't-
Cop
Angel
is
Cop
on
is
I don't know about
yes.
Mad Bull though.
Mad Bull is not on there. Mad Bull is not on
Mad
there.
Bull not on there.
Megazone 23 isn't on there. You know, here's one that I thought would actually be a good one that should be on there that's not on there. Magic Knight Rare. I think that would be a really good classic show for them to have on there.
It might come eventually.
That and I'm thinking of X. Remember that was another studio clamp. What movie? X. Yeah, X would be a good one to be on there. I think as a classic.
Oh,
Eight man
goodness.
Afters on there.
Eight
This-
Man After's
they got
on
this one
there.
I've never seen. It's called Creamy Mommy.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate. That's an unfortunate.
That is
name.
an unfortunate.
It's
name.
not a hentai either. It's a
Blue-
magical girl.
Blue Seed was a popular series back in the 90s that
I remember
that I
Blue
think was that some people, a lot of people don't know about Dagger of Kamui. Dagger of Kamui.
I remember
was,
seeing
was
that.
That movie was
classic.
long.
It was
Yeah.
long.
That movie was too long.
It was
Like,
it was
what
really
the
long.
heck? I
A
only saw
lot
it
of
once,
talking,
that's
not a lot of action. Not as much.
All
not
the
as much
action came
as it
basically
should
at
have
the
been.
end.
It did. It wasn't as much action as you would think something like with the name of Dagger of
Yeah,
Kamui
it was
would
like
have.
it was like a low rent Miyazaki film. It was just
Mhm.
long.
Yeah.
Like, what
Demon
the
City
hell?
I
Shinjuku.
wish they
Right.
put the original run of Guyver on there.
Oh, really?
Wait, did you
I
say the
wish they
Guyver's
would.
on here?
Guyver.
No, I said I wish they would.
Oh
Oh.
yeah, the classic OVA Guyver. Yeah.
I still got that on my DVDs as well. Even that pissed me off because when I was a kid and I rented videotapes for Guyver and I saw 1 and 2, and when I finally got 3 and it ended like on a cliffhanger, I was like, "Are you guys
Hey.
kidding me?"
So check it out, right? So when we were kids, right? Or when we were younger, I shouldn't say when we were kids. How many of us watched Midnight Eye Goku thinking it was going to be something like Dragon Ball related at first?
Well,
Just having the title have the name Goku in it.
not me, because I had a friend who actually showed me the before. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is kind of cool," and showed me the box, and I knew that it wasn't Dragon Ball. But he said Midnight Goku and showed me the thing, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." And I remember watching it, but I vaguely remember. I just remember his eye, but I don't remember what it did.
Well, I'm a little bit older than y'all.
Here's one for
They
you,
got
Chris.
Area Zero.
Yeah, I remember Area.
Here's one for you, Chris. Tenjo Tenge is on here.
Ew.
Who's Chris?
Excuse me,
What are you
GQ.
talking about?
Tenjo Tenge is on here though.
Yeah,
but-
it's also sitting on top of my
yeah.
my collection of DVDs. So it's also very accessible.
So I would love to hear from from some of the junkies out there what some of their classics that they want to see on here, and what isn't already on here.
Shit, I'm surprised they don't have Battle Angel.
You know, I would like to see that now that I've finally seen the movie.
Probably the rights for that. They probably can't get that stuff.
Yeah, it's probably.
That whole movie's on YouTube. You can watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
know,
YouTube
'cause they
doesn't
find
count
it.
like that
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
But Hand of Omega is saying Ranma and El Hazard.
Ranma probably would never be on there. El Hazard either.
Ranma's on Hulu.
It's
all
free on
of it.
Amazon.
Oh well, that's locked up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ranma's on Hulu, so that's not going anywhere. And El Hazard,
thought it was on
I have not
Amazon.
seen that forever.
Mm-mm. I mean, it might be on Amazon, but Viz has control over that. They're down.
Viz
they're
is
not
still
letting
around
that
today.
go.
It's just it sucks that ADV.
Went out of business.
Yeah.
You need to read the story behind kind of what happened there. They're like
That'd be dope.
it was kind of sad. They were like literally the biggest game in town.
Well, they
And-
were,
and
but
then-
they should have released that damn "Do It Now" song as a single.
yeah.
Well,
It would have been a hit.
Dude, I found out after that song it's I would say homage to a Chemical Brothers song. Like somebody heard that song and says, "I want a song that sounds like that," and that's where
Right.
"Do It Now" came from.
It probably started his life as a royalty-free song. And
Yeah,
somebody
right,
just-
probably
somebody-
did.
Somebody just
Yeah.
modified it. Like, okay, it's ours now.
Ooh, MD Guys. John P says MD Guys.
Yeah, that was a great one.
should be on
That was a
here.
good one.
It's
Guys,
unfortunate. I mean,
was wow.
they're new, so like, of course, they're not gonna have everything right away. And just like every other streaming app out there, things are probably going to come and go. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna see it because that's the whole catch is the 80s and 90s. Even though they got some I guess we call them the aughts.
Now, I know he's a collector, so he probably has everything that he wants. But what's the one thing that is not in your collection that you saw back in the day that you would have wanted?
I mean, we talked
that you
about
still want to have.
Bubblegum Crisis, because I had the opportunity to buy that back in the day, and for whatever reason, I didn't. Just stuff that I haven't seen in a while that I don't own. Like, recently, I just got my Vampire Hunter D back again because it walked out of my house somehow. And
That seems to happen a lot to you.
yes,
Absolutely.
apparently there was people.
Your brother?
I don't know if it's my brother. He could, and it's a possibility because he likes certain stuff. And I don't know how it made it, but I don't know because when I checked my dad's house, he said he didn't see it, and my brother knows nothing about it. But
Of course he
you know,
does.
back in the day when I used to have those parties at my house, I'm pretty sure
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, pretty sure. But
Yeah, he still got Waffles Outlaw Star.
Really?
Wow.
I'm surprised he let him because I had Outlaw Star. He could have just borrowed it from me, but then I would never see it again. But Hand of Omega is asking about Yurusei Yatsura and Beautiful Dreamer.
Beautiful Dreamer is on there. Dude, that was one of the best anime movies ever.
Birdie the Mighty.
Back in the
I'll
day.
watch Birdie the Mighty.
Dude, I was bored with that
as long as it's not the dub.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that dub was terrible. I couldn't get through the dub. That was probably back in the day the worst
I
dub that I
forgot
ever
you
sat
used to
through.
love Birdie the Mighty, didn't you?
I tried to like Birdie the Mighty.
I don't know. The only thing that I don't have in my collection that I actually want,
no, it was Will.
but I
Will
wanted
had
I wanted it on Blu-ray is Riding Bean.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
I don't think that ever came out on Blu-ray.
It never did, but I want. You know
Yes.
what? I wonder how much the rights to that cost.
I wonder. The original dub, you mean?
I don't know.
No, just period, because
period?
it's out of print. So I wouldn't. I'm sure somebody owns it, but it's like re-release it. It was awesome. I don't care if it's only one thing.
Ride
It
and
was
Bean
awesome.
was amazing. Ride and Bean, in my honest opinion, would make a
Gunsmith
perfect live action.
Oh, it would.
Have The Rock.
All right.
Right.
No, he's too big.
No.
Dude, Bean, well,
No, Bean wasn't.
he
The
was a
Rock
tough
is like a
guy.
freaking
Yeah, no.
huge dude.
Yeah, he is.
You need somebody a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
To be Bean.
Cocky. He got to be cocky. He got to be
we
funny.
should do a fan
he
cast
has
of
to
Riding
have
Bean. That would be fun.
as what it kind of looks like.
John P said Riding Bean looked like Jay Leno.
Wow.
He did look
I mean, he had
like-
that chin, but no. If you want to, Luke Evans, the dude
would
from
be bad.
he was in Fast.
Is that the Dracula dude?
Yeah, Dracula Untold.
Yeah, Dracula Untold.
Yeah,
he
I
was
think
also
he could do
he
that.
also
That would
was
be bad.
what's his name's brother in Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
I can see him doing it, but who would be Raleigh Vincent? Now, here's the deal. Because which Raleigh Vincent are you going to get?
Oh, you got to go with the blonde. Can't,
because
can't
that's
be the
Riding
Gunsmith
Bean.
cast,
is
right?
Ryan.
Yeah, no, I know.
Because Raleigh Vincent in
Gunsmith
Gunsmith Cats
Cats.
is not blonde
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
she's
she
not
was-
white.
Yeah.
They say she's Indian.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now go with if it's gonna be Riding Bean, make it straight up the Riding Bean the way we saw it.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So it's got
You
to be
could get
blonde around.
What if they wanted to spin off and do Gunsmith Cats? What are you going to just make it?
yeah, they about to switch it up. They're gonna have
If
to
there's
switch
one
it up.
anime that I wish actually would finish the manga and like from beginning to
Gunsmith
end,
Cats?
Gunsmith Cats.
Yes.
Dude, I loved
yeah.
that. Yeah, I
love
loved
it.
that
I
manga.
got
That
some
manga was
figures.
awesome.
Maybe they'll do that one day because we did.
You got
get
the figures?
JoJo's.
You got
I got
Rally
two.
and
I
Minnie
found-
May?
I got Rally and Mini Man. I found
Awesome,
them at
dude.
it was a
Awesome.
Liberty Comics in like Warren. I found it for like $20. I'm like, grab it.
Nice.
That is awesome, man.
All
That
right,
is
so
awesome.
no Hand of Omega Vin Diesel cannot be Bean Bandit.
Absolutely
Hell
not.
no.
That-
more.
Absolutely
You need
not.
somebody that has a little bit of
Absolutely
actual
not.
charisma. So
Absolutely not. All right, so RetroCrush, if you go to retrocrush.tv, you'll be able to check out RetroCrush for yourself. Sign up. It is free. Get back to us on the Culture Junkies channel and let us know what you checked out or what we should check out if we haven't already. Here's a hint. We probably have. Anyway, moving on to the very next topic.
this week in gaming.
It's on you.
Hey everybody, this week in gaming, we're going to take a look at some very fabulous games, one of them including The Legend of Zelda. You guys go ahead and check it out. Not Ocarina of Time, with it. You know what I'm saying.
Give him his mic.
Hey guys, there's a little technical error there. Our computer says, I don't like this video and we want to watch the old one. So we're going to load that back up in a hot second. But until we do, excuse me.
You said something about Ocarina of Time.
It's not Ocarina of Time. I don't know what my brain is thinking Ocarina of Time. Maybe because I'm still stuck on 64.
Could be.
The past Come on, brain. Why? Link to the Past. There we go. I am very sorry. It was coming out there. It was like hidden behind a fence, and I could see through it, but the door.
Well, don't forget, in Ocarina of Time, he couldn't jump, so you know.
He was forced to jump.
Yeah, he couldn't. He didn't have a button.
Yeah, not until the one that came out for the Switch and the Wii U. Anyway, it looks like everything's ready to go. So, hit it.
Culture Junkies!
And we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed those games. We had a lot of classic ones on there. 2 Resident Evils that came out. One that was extremely great, and one that, didn't get so much.
One that was there.
Yeah, it was kind of just there. I personally haven't played it. I know what people's complaints about it were, that it's not Resident Evil-y, I guess you can say. But in my honest opinion, that does not make a game good or bad. To me, it's a multitude of things. But I'm gonna get around to playing it one day. Just don't know. Maybe I should just do it in order. I beat 5, so maybe I should go with 6 and then start 7 and then
back to 3.
Yeah. Well, actually, I would go back to, because I didn't beat the remake of 1. I have 0 for GameCube and PlayStation 4, but I never beat 0. I started it on a GameCube years ago and I just never finished it. It's too much. But other games that was on there is that Legend of Zelda: The Link to the Past, which, if I remember correctly, Paul Rudd was in the commercial back in the 90s.
Yep.
You remember that commercial?
What was it for that?
Yeah.
I thought it was for something else.
Yeah, I think it was more than one game.
It was a multitude of games.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Because they were playing in a drive-in.
Yeah, the drive-through.
Yep.
Yeah, drive-in. Yeah, drive-in theater.
It's not as bad as the Japanese commercial where they had like dancing Link and all the people in the caverns dancing.
Japan is a weird country, man.
They
be
do.
doing
They
a
have
lot
some
of weird
pretty.
stuff.
But I've seen some pretty cool commercials, and I've seen some really weird commercials as well. And what was that other game that was in there? That was gosh,
Star Fox 64,
Star Fox.
man.
How in the heck could you forget Star
Got to go to the Lilat system.
The best Star Fox game that has ever come out, and everybody complains about all the rest of them. Personally, I have not had a problem with it. I have not played the newest one. Again, I bought it, but I haven't played
But
it.
the one on the Wii U?
Yeah, I got it.
I got that for $1.
I forget how cheap I got it.
It came with like something else. I'm
Yeah, like 2 discs or something. Yeah, I forget how much I paid for it. It was really, really cheap. And I do want to get into it just to see what it's like. But I think a lot of people complained about that one is because of controls. Like you could look on a screen, but then you had if you wanted to, you have better aim if you use the Wii use pad or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And that was a big turnoff to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for me, one of my favorite games was a game that this gentleman to my right actually used to bring over to my house, and we played together a lot. Star Fox 64. That was, to me, that was as much as I loved the original Star Fox and SNES, Star Fox 64 was like the best
Now,
in
would you
these.
complain
in the
about it
series.
if they remade that one?
No, I just rather them make a new Star Fox game.
They have been, and nobody's
And
been
they haven't
buying
been
them.
very good.
They've
Right.
made,
And nobody's
They
been
haven't been
buying
very
them.
good.
Sometimes you got to go back to what worked.
Exactamundo.
Yep.
Just put some little more, not stank on it,
A
but
little more polish.
yeah, put more polish
Right,
on it.
no.
Because the funny thing is, looking back at Star Fox 64, though, just even from looking at that video, that game holds up.
It does.
Like Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, man, when that SNES Classic came out, I was like, oh man, this is like
It was kinda rough, man.
Yeah, high res on these games is a little bit rough. How about all right, Super Nerd? How about you? What's some of them games you played, man?
I know which one he gonna pick.
I already know.
I've been playing Star Fox. I remember when the Star Fox came out. It was at Target. You could play the
Play on the demo machine,
display. Yeah, and
and
I
that
did
boy
not
would
wanna
cut
lose
off
it. I
after
thought
like
that
10
was so
minutes,
cool.
something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I thought it was so cool playing Star Fox. I was like, damn, I gotta get an SNES to get one. Never got it, but
did you get your signed copy of that Power Rangers game now?
Right.
Dude, I want to
Hell.
get that game because they
I,
do.
I had a Power Rangers game that came out for Sega Genesis. I got
That
from
one was
Virtual.
No.
garbage.
That
This
one's
new
garbage.
one.
No, we're talking about the fighting game, the one that was in the
Yeah, I
list.
know
Were you
that one.
paying attention?
Yeah. That's not what I said. You hear what I said before that? Fool?
No. No.
I said no. I never played that one, but I seen it. But I played the one I do remember was the Power Ranger one that came out for Sega Genesis.
Garbage.
That's the only Power Ranger game I ever played.
Really.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo one I think was a beat 'em up, so it might have been better. I don't remember. I remember playing the Genesis one, but it
The
just
Super
didn't
Nintendo
stick
one
with me.
and the Super Nintendo one and the Genesis one, I think, were beat 'em ups.
I think they had a second one on Super Nintendo that was
Yeah.
also a fighting game with the Zords.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. They
remember
did.
That was the
that
same one for
This
Sega
one,
Genesis.
this one at least, Battle for the Grid, because it's based on that
The comic book.
on the comic, which had Lord Drakon on it. This one actually is pretty cool because the Zords are like assist characters, and you can the other Rangers in your team you can just tag them in, like as you need to. So it's like a tag battle game. It looks fun. I've never played it, and it looks like a game I could get behind.
I want to. They came out with physical copies for it. I don't know if I know for the Switch. I'm not 100% sure for PlayStation 4, but typically when they come out with a physical copy for PlayStation 4 and the Switch, they do them both. And Limited Run was not sponsored by Limited Run either. They did a physical copy because I think once all the patches and all that stuff is out, that's when they do a physical copy for it. And it looks very interesting. I mean, it plays like a Marvel versus Capcom style game. They have some Rangers that I didn't even know existed besides Lord. I know nothing about Lord Drakon. I know he looks cool as all hell. And then you got that Black Ranger in there with the freaking guns and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not any Black Ranger I've ever seen before.
Right.
It's like, what's going on? So, like, I
Looked like the Black Ranger from that Adi Shankar Power Rangers short. That was still one of the greatest Power Rangers anything I've ever seen. That was so good.
Yeah.
Well, DBL King, he's saying that he begged his dad for Star Fox 64, and he stayed many nights trying to find the other paths to the other levels. And yes, it did strip of the Rumble Pack.
Yes,
and
it did.
I remember after getting Star Fox 64, GoldenEye came out, I think shortly after that, and that was the day that I went out and bought 3 more controllers and 3 more Rumble Packs. 'Cause it was, that Rumble Pack was all sorts of awesome back in the day, and it's hilarious to think.
Many a late night was spent playing GoldenEye.
Yeah, GoldenEye was that deal.
Yes.
Now, GoldenEye, of course, is another one that's been remade, but you just didn't capture the magic of the original.
Sure didn't.
It's
not
so
at
weird.
all.
It's like it just seems like it should just be that easy to just make it again, and they can't. That one.
But there's always something that changes when you're making something.
Speaking of remakes, though, we didn't talk about Code Veronica enough. I hope that's the next remake that they do.
Yeah, because we talked about that a few last week.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Well, in order, yeah, that would be the next one.
It
I mean,
should
if they're going just in straight order.
I mean, technically, that one was supposed to be Resident Evil 3, and the only reason they didn't is because they wanted to keep the numbered series on friggin' PlayStation, even though Resident Evil 3 is a prequel to Resident Evil 2.
It is, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Code Veronica could be a very interesting remake.
I
though.
hope so.
Yeah.
Looking on eBay right here, yep, those physical copies are out for PlayStation 4 and out for the Switch. And you
This
could
is
have bought
for
it for
that
30
Power Rangers
bucks.
game?
Yeah, you could have bought it for 30 bucks if you got it originally, but now they're going for 60. 60 for the Switch one, 49.80 for the PlayStation 4.
So that was a limited run game?
It was limited run, most definitely.
The Power Rangers game was limited run.
Well, they publish certain things. Limited Run's whole entire thing is these games come out digitally, and there's people like me and GQ over there that like physical copies, and some of us will pony up the money to get them. Most of the time, they're not expensive. They usually drop at about $30. The problem with Limited Run is they are literally limited. They do maybe 5,000 copies. And before then, you had to be there. You had to buy it as soon as it popped out or it was sold out. Now they're actually doing things a little bit differently where you can pre-order it and how many pre-orders they get, which I kind of like.
And for a short period of time, even GameStop was carrying some of this stuff in stores.
And Best Buy was.
Yeah,
So-
Best Buy. But like, because I ended up getting Skullgirls that way. Even though Skullgirls obviously is a digital game, I like what they brought out for the Encore edition. Came with the soundtrack, came with some little extra bonuses for the physical copy. So that Limited Run does do a good job on that. And like
Very
you
good
said,
job.
they usually release something that has all of its patches, all of its DLC already basically done. So you're getting a true complete game.
So before we move on, 2 questions. Mike Zambo over on YouTube wants to ask, the Star Fox 64 remake is on the DS, right?
Oh, yeah, they did do that on a DS. They sure did. See, I like handhelds and I don't. I got to the point where, I got this right here, which is a handheld, and you can have it on your at home. I prefer that. I didn't buy a DS. I literally didn't, mainly because they didn't have a Castlevania game for it.
Okay.
No, excuse me, not DS.
Yeah, they do.
3DS.
Oh,
Got to make that distinction. Not the
Yeah, yeah,
DS.
that'd
I
be
have
like
DS. I don't know how many DSs I actually have. I think I have
So
like 6
do you
of
think
them.
he meant 3DS?
I think he meant 3DS because it
Okay.
didn't come out on DS. It came out on the 3DS, and that upsets me because I wanted 3DS. I want the Star Fox. I definitely want whatever Zelda came because they remade Ocarina of Time and Mask of whatever the heck that's called. I can't remember.
Master Zora?
No.
Oh, Majora's
Majora's Mask. And they also came out with Metroid 2 remake. And Metroid 2, if anybody remembers, only came out on the original Game Boy, black and white, and you never seen it again. They remade the original Metroid before they did Part 2 many years ago.
Yeah.
And I want to
Okay.
pick that up.
And the last one, John P says, can they even do a remake to Resident Evil 4?
Why? There's no reason to.
Yeah, they
It
could.
is already so well made as it is.
No, it's
Like,
well
look-
made, but you could completely
We
update it and make it look better.
Yeah,
I
you
mean, they
could.
could.
Because
Yeah,
the thing
you
is, 4 looked great, but when you saw that remake of 1 compared to 4, it was like, holy crap!
Yeah.
It was like
You mean,
real.
you talking about 1?
Yeah.
4, well, both 1 and 4 came out on GameCube. They look pretty close.
No, I know, but
No. He's saying the remake.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. From original
Yeah.
to the
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with 4, there's still some room for them to do something with
yeah.
it. So
Right.
that could be interesting.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
to see them do it, but they probably won't.
Probably not, but we'll see.
All right, y'all. So that was This Week in Gaming. If you want to continue the chat in the comments, we will appreciate it. But we're going to move on to the next topic here.
From the pages of
So last week we had a brief discussion about how COVID-19 is really affecting the comic book industry, in so fact that Diamond Distributors was shutting down physical distribution to their stores as of this week. In fact, this week was one of the first weeks in a long time where not only were the comic stores closed to not receive physical books, but Diamond was not going to was going to be able to ship them across states because of a lot of the stay-at-home orders and the closed shipping and stuff like that that's going on with the pandemic. So a lot of stores have been suffering from financially because of this. Some of them have already decided to shutter their doors completely because they're not making sales. And digital hasn't been basically the industry nationwide or even worldwide isn't fully set up for digital distribution to benefit local comic stores. It will benefit other people. So there is an initiative being pushed by Comic Hub, which is the point of sale system that a lot of comic book stores use. I don't think it's as widespread as it could
I
be.
do.
What?
I use it. I use it.
Comic Hub? Okay, no, I'm what I mean is like a lot of comic stores
Don't.
aren't
Yeah.
using it,
Yeah.
aren't using Comic Hub. So Comic
Right.
Hub is pushing an initiative where they are going to push for the publishers like Marvel and DC and maybe even Image or some other ones to attach digital codes to every physical book that they publish, right? So what this will mean is that Comic Hub the sales go directly to your local comic book store. So like a Green Brain Comics uh, will benefit from this. From State of Comics, which is run by our friend Ryan over in Plymouth, would possibly benefit from this because unlike the digital distribution where it's like Comixology or somebody else where the local comic book shops would not get any of that business, it's basically being run like a pull list or a pre-order where you would actually say, hey, I'm going to buy these books, and immediately the reader will be able to read their digital copy and then be able to go and pick up a physical copy of that same book at their local comic book store. To me, it's viewed as a win-win, but a lot of retailers are kind of pushing back on it, saying that this could be the end of the comic book industry for local comic book shops, because if people buy digitally, what's the impetus for them coming to the store? So with what I've explained, Super Nerd Plus, I want you to take it. How do you view this initiative from Comic Hub? Do you think it'll benefit the industry long term and kind of change things?
The idea sounds great on paper, and it definitely gives money back to the shops.
Mm-hmm.
But if you already read it digitally, why would you want to go pick it up physically? And now you have a bunch of books that's sitting there.
And that's an
And then,
argument that a lot of people have said, but to me, and this has been something. This story was broken by Bleeding Cool, just today. Um, but Rich Johnston, who runs Bleeding Cool, has made the argument that the digital push has been around for the past 10 years, and if we've learned anything in the past 10 years is that traditional comic book readers will always prefer physical over digital. This is more viewed as a stopgap, but at the same time, because the digital copy the sale for the digital copy goes directly to the local comic book shop, whether they physically come in or not, the comic book shop is not losing out on sales. They're keeping their same sales, right? But because you're a collector, GQ is a collector. You guys I like collecting comic books, certain issues, physically, because they may, speculation market, or because I just want to frame it or something like that. This will prevent you from having to worry about opening the book or anything like that. You could keep it closed and immediately have it shipped and graded and get an even higher grade and not have to worry about it being damaged. Now, there's no guarantee that your physical book that you have in the store is going to become unblemished anyway, because shipping accidents always happen. But to me, when I say that to you, how do you feel after I say that, as far as like
uh,
from the
well,
collector standpoint?
the great Stan Lee says comic books are like boobies, and you want boobies in your hand, right?
Sure.
I'm just saying, I'd rather have a physical. And
Right.
if you want to go on the grading side, that's up to you to go physically into a store to find it. Because if you can find those books online, cool. But
Right.
certain books, you dig for them. It's better digging for them than getting it, because it's that whole feel of just digging and finding something that's rare, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can go grade it. But as far as like the whole digital thing, I mean, that's something if you just have way too many books and you ain't got no choice but to get a digital. But then, like you say, you go pick up your physical, you still having the same situation. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of one of those win, lose, lose, win, win, win. I don't know. It's all up
How
in
do
the
you view
air.
it, GQ?
Well, the
What's your
thing is,
take on it?
it sounds like the model is backwards, because why would I buy it digitally and then go pick it up
Thank you.
physically? I should just be able to get the digital code with the physical book.
Well, this is kind of doing the same thing and it's be more widespread. The reason they're doing it this way, at least right now, is because there are no books being shipped. right?
No, I understand that
Right.
part of it, but again, the business model itself, even with the scenario and the situation that we're in, is still backwards. There was a time when digital books first came around that they did it similar to a digital copy that you get with a movie,
Mm-hmm.
where I bought a book and then the code for that same exact book, the digital code for that book was
Right.
in I think on the inside cover, or somewhere in the book where like you couldn't just scan it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that was an option. So it's like, okay, well, at least with that, I've already got my physical book, and here's my digital copy to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it in reverse is like, okay, so I bought this book, and I'm going to hope that this store has the physical copy in stock when I get there.
No. That's not it. When they buy this pre-order, right,
They
you're
pull it
guaranteed to have a book waiting for you in your store.
Okay, but how much do you have to see? That's where you're getting into that weird, odd space, because a pull list is literally just that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put these aside because you come in on a regular and buy books. Now you're saying you're going to pre-order a bunch of books,
Mm-hmm.
and that means you're putting money down on them.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of people, that's like, my pull list is good because I can just go in and get it. And if I get there and decide, hey, I don't want whatever, I don't have to take whatever.
Okay.
Pre-order, you already bought it.
And right. And for that argument, I can see how it's bad for the consumer and a more of a win for the local comic shop in a way, because if you have a lot of pre-orders on, say you're normally you carry like 10 books in your pre-order, right? You're paying for those books right out of pocket, right? That benefits the store greatly because they don't have to worry about ordering a book that then you come in and say, oh, I changed my mind, I don't want it. And then they're kind of out because they've ordered this book and you're not going to get it.
But the thing is, it's like this company is saying it's going to benefit the comic shop owners, and I don't think it actually will, because now you've turned it into a scenario where it's like you are kind of locked in because you've already bought the digital part of it, so
Right.
the revenue is has already been made,
Right.
and for the comic shop owner, yeah, that's good for their pockets, but they're going to start losing business because the whole thing with comic book purchasers, especially pull list purchasers, are either they're locked in because they like that particular series and they're going to come in and buy those books regardless,
Right.
or they're saying, hey, this thing is coming out, maybe in a couple months. Can you set, one aside for me when it comes through? They might change their mind between then. If you're doing it this way, you've already bought it, whether you change your mind or not. So that messes with the relationship that comic shop owners have with their normal customers, because that's all. Realistically, at the end of the day, those are the only ones that they can really rely on, because the average Joe ain't gonna be doesn't do a pull list anyway.
Exactly.
And they sure as hell ain't gonna pre-order a comic book.
Right.
So
Online or otherwise.
Yeah. So this is for the hardcore.
Right.
And the hardcore, like Super Nerd said, they usually like to have their books in hand.
Okay. All right. So you view it as you don't necessarily view it as a negative or a positive.
I view it as it's a company trying to take advantage of the situation.
Right.
And it's, like you said, it's a stopgap. But at the end of the day, like once this is all back to normal, then this place is going to fold.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Super Nerd?
I mean, if you say it may fold, I don't know about fold hard because they still will use them if everything gets back in normal.
Mm-hmm.
People still be using them, but they won't be using them for this idea. Like you said, after it all clears up, fuck, I'm gonna get some digital books for. My store is open now. I can go get them.
Okay.
So there's no reason to even do
I can
that.
go back to my pull list the regular way.
Interesting.
Correct.
And make changes
Interesting.
in store if I need to, versus
Right.
Exactly.
oh,
So
you already got the
it
digital
kind of
book, you
waste.
stuck with it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a waste.
Yeah. So obviously, I would love to get the perspective of some comic book shop owners, that because I've heard a lot of negatives. I've read some positives online from some comic shop owners, but two that we know personally have, or at least one that we know personally, has already said that he feels like this is a terrible idea, and
Well,
we weren't able to
put it in perspective. Which
Yeah.
shop owners were giving positive feedback?
The only no, I read from the article.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
There was no
okay.
names. There was no
Okay,
names.
but I
So,
guarantee you, some of the larger comic book stores out there that it doesn't really matter one way or the other for them is probably what they're talking about. We ain't talking. We're talking about probably chains, like maybe your Comic Cities or something.
Yeah. or Golden Apple or something.
Yeah, they're probably good because they're chains. Your local mom and pops, man, this ain't gonna help them.
Okay.
Because again, they build their business on relationship, and this is just like you said, this is like
Fair point.
yeah,
Fair point.
pre-ordering comics.
Fair
and
point.
It's like no, sir.
I would still love to invite Ryan and of course Dan and on the show to join us because I am woefully naive on how these types of things work in comic book shops. But speaking of Dan, a longtime friend of Culture Junkies, we've hosted Free Comic Book Day at Green Brain a couple of times over the years. We want to pass on our best wishes to him and his family. He just lost his mother recently this week. So from all of us here at Culture Junkies to you, Mr. Dan Merritt, and your wife, Katie Merritt, we send our sincerest condolences, and we'll be thinking of you during your trying time.
Well said.
All right, guys. So let's move on to I think it's somewhat of an exciting new segment for all you Culture Junkies out there. So we will explain it, and as we hit the bumper.
The power is yours!
That's right, Junkies. The power is yours.
Ooh, can we sing the theme song? Can we sing the theme song?
No. I mean, I guess if you want to, if you want to sing the theme song, you can, sure. So this segment is all about the Junkie Nation. It's all about you.
Yeah, that's also why you can't see us on screen because it's the chat window.
It's
so
the chat window.
Y'all get
That's
to take over the
all
show.
you're going to see is you guys in the chat and you're talking. This is going to be about crosstalk across the platforms.
Yeah, so make your comments really, really interesting.
Yeah, make it real interesting.
That's
Fill
how
up the screen.
That's how you get your topic on the show if you need something that catches our attention.
Right, fill up the screen. We want to see what everybody's talking about. So, my old colleague Monday says is in regards to the comic book hub story. He says, I think it's fine to try something new, better than doing nothing. Sharita Jackson says she's singing the Captain Planet theme song.
Well, you go right ahead, Sharita. You go right ahead and sing that song.
Right.
But no, I mean, and
do you know the lyrics?
No, I hated that show. Like that. No. Again, we even talked about it briefly last week when we talked about it this weekend. When they brought Hart or Mati or whatever his name was on the show, I was like, nah, dude, no. Hart is not an element. Like at all. Naturally occurring heart.
Maybe he meant fart.
Maybe, passing gas or something, but like no, like fire, earth, wind, water. Yeah, I get that. Heart, no. That was just cheesy. Hated that. It was only Captain Planet I like was Don Cheadle's Captain Planet.
Don Cheadle's was funny.
Yeah.
It was funny. I don't know. I used to watch it back in the day, but I don't have too many fond memories about it. I was something that I enjoyed, and I just watching it. I just didn't understand why people wanted to actively pollute the earth. It's not like you can leave, and this is also your home. So why would you actually do it? But then, as I got older, there are people out there, rich ass people, that they just don't give a shit, and I'm just like, this doesn't just affect you and me. It does affect you as well. Yeah. Because if you put stuff in the ground, it can grow into your food, and it can get into your water, and yet you be eating that stuff too. Be like, no, I'm so rich, I'll get food. It's like, no, dude, that's not how that works.
The one that does shock the hell out of me, and it is, in all seriousness, is the amount of stuff in the ocean. That's crazy. Like, just the amount of like debris and trash that is like, collected in the ocean. It's like, yes, the ocean is massive. However, it's still like you said, it's in our contained space, basically. It's not like it's like you put it in there and it just disappears.
It just disappears.
It's like, no, it collects somewhere.
And they said that thing is as big as some continent. I forget which continent they said it was.
It's big enough, though. That's silly.
It's huge. And when I was over in certain countries, I did see some of that stuff in the ocean, and I didn't like it. It's like, why?
Hey,
I mean, seriously.
Every time I see Wheeler, Captain Planet, I always feel like he was gonna fall over because his shoes like they was never tied.
Forget Captain Planet. Hannah Omega says, "I want Galaxy Rangers live action movie." Galaxy
Rangers live action.
Are we talking about Power Rangers again?
No. Galaxy Rangers was the guys on the horses in space. They had mechanical
Did it
horses
come on
or something
CBS?
like that. I don't remember what channel it came on. To be honest, it was one of those. I watched it every now and again. Because again, during that period of time, there was Transformers,
Yep.
G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Centurions every now and again, and that was kind
I
of.
remember Centurions a little bit,
Yeah.
but I don't. Was that a Saturday morning cartoon? Was that like syndicated after school?
Centurions, I believe, was Saturday morning, if I remember. Because my after school lineup was Transformers, G.I. Joe, of course. Thundercats came in eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Silverhawks replaced Thundercats.
Yep.
Sucked, but it did.
Yep.
Of course, there was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
That, and then eventually, once I hit high school, Batman the Animated Series, X-Men, and that was like, all right, I'm done. It's like I've got everything I need. Period. I'm like, I'm good now. So
Fox took over on Saturdays
Yeah, they
a lot.
did.
But when, like in the '80s, it was just I never watched. For whatever reason, CBS, I didn't watch CBS for live action show. I didn't watch CBS for cartoons. CBS was like old people's station, and I did not want to watch. I don't know what it was. I just didn't want to watch it.
Columbia Broadcasting Service.
NBC and ABC. That is what I would watch. And then when Fox brought their stuff into the mix, I would watch Fox stuff on Saturday mornings. But CBS, like I never watched Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't watch Pirates of Dark Waters. That was CBS.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the funny thing. The way I was is like I consumed at least one episode of everything that was out there just to give it a shot. But it was just like you can't replace my mainstays though. Like my mainstays were just kind of like. Look, if you come on at if you came on at 3:30, you were out of luck, period, because that was reserved at the time for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It didn't matter what else came out. Turtles was going to get watched at 3:30. Like, that was it.
I think we're having a little bit more technical difficulties. People aren't seeing each other. So Monday is saying throw Robotech and Voltron into that after school mix with, I watched
Somebody brought up Mighty Orbots. That was my shit.
Yeah. And Sharita Jackson over there, Garfield and Friends. I loved Garfield and Friends.
Okay, I do remember Garfield and Friends. John P. said Mighty Orbots.
And it said Fudge.
Mighty Orbots was my shit,
I'm going
dude.
Fudge. Is that was that a cartoon? No, Hot Fudge is what I'm thinking of. That was
Hot
a cartoon.
Fudge?
Yeah, Hot Fudge. Hot Fudge. Moving on. It was a show that came on, I think, really early on Saturday, but it was not a cartoon. As I remember. Unless you're talking about Fudge or something else.
Dog.
Hot Fudge.
How many people remember the polka dot door?
Oh, I remember polka dot door, but that was definitely.
It wasn't a cartoon, but the theme song was so freaking weird. It was like, dude, you guys are odd.
Hot Fudge.
John P. brought up Bionic 6. That was the truth.
Bionic 6. He also mentioned Mighty Orbots.
Defenders of the Earth. Defenders of the Earth with Flash Gordon and Mandrake the Magician.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
Oh, and Hot Fudge was a Detroit thing. That I did not know.
No, see, that's probably why nobody really wants. It's like, and Monday was like, I still watch Jim and the Holograms. I'm not ashamed.
Jim and the Holograms was not. It was a
very
good produced show. It had some good stories.
Jim was great.
Here's an interesting fact about Jim and the Holograms. Jim and the Holograms theme song is actually one of the highest selling. Actually, it's a triple platinum. Single that actually was never truly released as an actual single you could buy on its own.
So how did it reach triple platinum?
Because they packaged it in with audio cassettes when you bought the dolls. So the dolls sold ridiculously.
Yeah, they did.
And every single cassette, because remember the show had truly actual studio produced songs in it. So the cassettes came with some of those, samples of some of those songs. I think it was 3 per cassette. But every single cassette came with the theme song. So since you had the theme song on every single doll, every cassette that was packed in with a doll, it technically sold over 3 million copies. So that's triple platinum. So it's insane, but they've never officially released any of that stuff as far as putting it on, a collection or a CD or an album or something like that.
One thing real
Monday
quick.
was like...
One thing real quick. Because at Hot Fudge, it was produced in Detroit, but it was nationally syndicated.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was all over the country. Just so you go.
I have to look that one up because I honestly don't remember.
So Monday was like, I liked when the occasional episode of the Inhumanoids showed up, and he's right about that.
Inhumanoids was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Inhumanoids animation was like off the chain.
Yeah, it was.
It looked really, really good. But
did somebody mention Centurions yet?
Yeah, Centurions was mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, and Humanoid. I remember them toys. Them toys were huge.
Centurions?
Were they
No,
the
and
ones that you
humanoids.
could-
Humanoids,
oh,
yes.
No, Centurions were the ones you
You
put
could
the
put stuff all
modular
on it.
stuff
Yeah,
on them.
yeah.
Yeah, but and humanoids, the humanoid toys were gigantic.
None of you posers watch Biscuits. Yeah, of course not. I ate Biscuits. I didn't watch Biscuits.
Exactly.
Hey man, you have to name it food show. What's
Exactly.
going on?
Oh, that's Hand of Omega over there.
That's
being-
the hand.
that he being
The
influenced.
hand.
He's
He's
said-
older than all of us. He's
was-
like 200
was,
years
uh,
old. so
Right,
he
but
remembers
he
all
did
that
say in
stuff.
Humanoids and Visionaries should
Yeah,
make
he
a
did.
comeback though.
Sean Zell is in the chat. Saying
Sean
hello.
Zell.
Sean Zell is in the chat. CBS Story Break. I ain't watched that.
We were just talking about that. Nobody watched CBS
Nobody
on
watched
purpose.
CBS Story Break.
Nobody watched CBS on purpose.
Yeah.
That's what I said. CBS was just my least favorite channel.
So what did CBS have like back in the day Saturday morning? They had
had
pole
Dungeons and
position.
Dragons.
They had pole position.
Yeah, they did. I think Turbo Teen came out on
No,
there.
that was ABC.
You sure?
Yeah, that was
Turbo
Ruby
Team was
Sears. That was
ABC.
ABC.
Okay, because
yeah.
I remember Turbo Teen, so
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah,
that.
no. So they had some funny Richard Pryor show. They had Donkey
Pac-Man.
Kong. They had Donkey Kong.
Essentially, they got a lot of the
No,
Atari
Pac-Man
stuff.
was also
I
ABC.
think Pac-Man was
Yeah, it was also ABC.
no before that. It was not Pac-Man by itself. It was like a
a super
Sa-
show.
Sa-
Yeah.
Saturday morning arcade
yeah,
show.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. Space Ace. They had Space Ace, and they had Dragon's Lair.
Again, they had all the arcade games come to. They had all those really bad animated adaptations of every video game you used to like to play.
Mm-hmm.
That was what CBS was all about.
GoBots. were
Go
pure
Boss was pure trash.
Oh, everybody knows. Now, granted, GoBots came out first. That don't mean nothing.
GoBots
Transformers-
is the Hydrox of freaking.
I love
Exactly,
What, I
even
love
though
what
it came
Monday
out first.
said.
Yeah.
I love what Monday said. Hanna-Barbera put their C-Team animators on that one.
Heck yeah.
Dude, have
Yeah.
you seen that in the comic books at least? Because GoBots is now owned and underneath the Transformers line. That they tried to bring a
IDW.
couple of GoBots in there. Yeah, IDW and Megatron killed Psykill in one. It was like
Nice.
yeah, you see him. He killed Psykill in one. What you call it?
Nice.
Here's the thing. I actually like Psykill. Because
He
first
had
of all,
an awesome name.
his name was cool, and,
And he
like
was bald
his
head too.
yeah, his actual toy was kind of cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Megatron was that deal though.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
What
kind of
was-
like yeah.
Okay, what was the one GoBot toy that was actually kind of decent? Remember, it was the power suits that they had where you could put the power, you could basically put GoBots inside these power suits, and they will form up to make a much bigger robot.
They did that with they had the combiners as well. I don't know.
It was
Yeah,
weird.
it
I
was
mean,
weird
like
the way
GoBots
they
had
did.
like GoBots was really
I
really
like that
struggling.
black car. I can't remember her name. The one that stomped her foot and cracked the ground or
Was
whatever.
it Turbo?
Is
No,
that her name?
no.
She had a pink face.
Turbo was the red
Yeah.
car.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Turbo
Turbo was the
right.
red car.
Yeah, she was a black car, and it was a she from what I remember. I don't remember her
Yeah.
name. I
Yeah.
think
Okay, so Wolverine, Eddie Johnson brought
Yes.
up Rambo cartoon.
I remember the Rambo
Rambo.
cartoon
Rambo
and the,
cartoon.
and the Forces of Freedom. I
Wasn't
think
it
it was.
freaking weird having a Rambo cartoon when he could shoot guns?
Crasher.
First of all,
group, the band.
well, here's the funny thing. You had Rambo R-rated. You had RoboCop R-rated. You also had a Chuck Norris cartoon.
Yeah, that's
for
true.
Like, for
Yes,
like,
you
I think
did.
a couple. I don't know if it made it past
was
a
it
couple episodes.
Chuck Norris is fighting force.
Yeah,
something like
Chuck
that.
Norris
yeah.
was fighting commandos.
Yeah,
I think
fighting
it was
commandos. That's what it was. Yeah, because it was like based on his Delta Force movies.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like, yep,
Did
see
you
John
guys
P.
know
We
they
on
made a-
see John
they
P.
made
and
a-
we on the same wavelength, brother.
yeah. Chuck, yeah.
Did you
They
know
also
they
had
made another
Mr. T.
RoboCop cartoon?
Yeah,
later
Mr.
on
T
down
had
the
a-
And a
road?
Rubik's Cube.
So
Yeah, Rubik's Cube cartoon was so weird.
Did you guys know
so
that?
What was that, Super Nerd?
They had another RoboCop cartoon that came out years.
oh
like,
yeah,
yeah.
that was whack. That was super whack.
Oh, they had another
I
one
saw
after
it.
yeah,
the
they
I
one.
did.
on
That
YouTube,
one was
actually.
super whack. Yeah, I remember the RoboCop one they had on when Pride of the X-Men came on.
Oh.
That came out.
You
That
know
was-
what the funny thing
that was
is?
the first one.
Pride of the X-Men is another one. I love that because that used to be one of those, like, it would come around. It was like, oh, that X-Men cartoon is on. Dang, I wish they'd make a second episode though.
Right.
You know, it was just like you was always,
Yes!
like that was before
He's
you
waiting forever.
understood the concept of a pilot. You were just
yeah.
like, dang, where's the other episodes at, man?
Yeah, because it was like, wait a minute, because it was like one time Spider-Man and Amazing Friends was on. It had the episode of the X-Men, and then right after that you had the X-Men Pride of the X-Men on, and then after that you had RoboCop, and I was like, man, I want some more of this X-Men cartoon.
What
Alright,
year did that
had-
come out?
A long time ago. I couldn't even tell you.
Are you talking about the X-Men cartoon where Wolverine had the Australian
Yeah,
accent?
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
the one, essentially the one that the video game was based on.
Yeah.
The arcade game.
Yeah.
Okay, Hand of Omega said he remembered he liked the Teen Wolf cartoon, but never saw the Back to the Future cartoon.
I remember the back.
I
to the
Yeah,
remember
I
the
definitely
Back to the
remember
Future.
Future
That
that.
was a CBS
That's
cartoon
funny.
I actually did
Yes.
watch.
Yeah, I do
Back
remember
to
that
the
one.
Future
This
and
morning.
Bill and Ted's Excellent
Yeah,
Adventures.
Bill Excellent Adventure.
Yes.
I
had
have those on my
cartoons for
playlist.
Oh, you have those on your
I bet
playlist?
you
All right.
do.
I got,
Yeah.
found it. I found that. I found Back to the Future my playlist. Put that on there, and I put what else I put on there? I found Kid playing Hammerman.
Oh my gosh!
Now,
Speaking
here's the
of
thing.
them, right? Sharita Jackson brought up New Kids on the Block. They had a cartoon too.
They did.
Yes,
Everybody
did
did.
that.
A lot
Everybody
of
did.
a lot of
I
them
gotta
did back
find
then.
I'll
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah, I remember Hammerman. I remember Kid and Play as well.
I didn't know that.
And because Kid and Play, the actual Kid and Play would
Where's their
host,
voices?
would host the episodes as well. MC Hammer hosted his show, but he didn't do his voice.
No.
Yeah.
And
Guess what I found this morning?
Oh,
Co-stars.
I remember Pro Stars.
All stars.
Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and Michael Jordan.
Oh, dude, that joke was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my
It,
god.
it definitely did not hold up.
Yeah, I can look at you right now on my
at
playlist
anything.
because I got my tablet in front of me.
But
can
yeah,
show you guys
y'all
that.
go through and dig through the chat and find something else.
Yeah. Conan the Adventurer.
Cool nerd.
So Monday brings up a very good point before we get ready to shift to the main event. Have we all been taking advantage of all G.I. Joe episodes on YouTube?
They're free now.
Yeah. So
Hasbro put it up.
I own them all,
Yeah.
so but have fun with that.
what was that? What'd you say?
I own them
Samara?
all. I've got them in a box. I mean, in a Foot Locker.
Yeah.
I was saying you can watch it on Tubi TV as well. They got all the G.I. Joes on there.
I
Even the-
remember
the
Kid
one that got
Video, John
canceled.
P. Most definitely.
Yeah, Kid Video.
That song is
yeah.
playing in my head right now.
Mhm.
Yep. Kid, I got him on my playlist too.
Get me moving on.
There's Kid Video. Then there's what about Game Pro TV.
Dude,
I remember that.
I wanted Game Pro.
JD Roth.
I wanted Game Pro TV to do well so bad.
Well, I mean, here was the funny thing. It was a magazine, obviously, as we
Yeah.
all know. And then they got the show. JD Roth, who actually is extremely active in television. Like, that dude.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes does a lot.
Probably
which-
rich as shit.
more than likely. Smart dude, you know. But the show itself was just kind of like, the episode I remember the most is when they showed Street Fighter 2. That was kind of like the highlight for me. I'll be straight up. Like, that was about the only time I really cared they showed Street Fighter 2.
How was it better than the USA Street Fighter 2?
Well, no. They were showing the arcade game, like
Oh,
actual,
okay, I thought
like
you were
people
showing a
playing.
cartoon.
Yeah, no. No, Street Fighter does not do well in animation outside of that anime that they had.
That movie was great. Street Fighter V was entertaining.
No, Street Fighter V started off strong.
Yeah.
Then it just like lost their minds by the end of the,
Gotta
series.
burn
I'm
some
like,
muscle.
by the end of the series, it's like, what are y'all doing? This is
I
weird.
loved it just for the gotta burn some muscle parts. That shit was great.
Right, but
She was great.
again, going back to my favorite thing,
Yeah.
and Wolverine can attest to this over there in the chat. Watching Guile beat the living piss out of Ryu and Ken was insane.
It
Yeah.
was so entertaining.
It was just like, just if y'all have never seen that, just look that up.
Dude,
Street
he
Fighter
was-
2V.
He was
Ryu versus Guile.
manhandling them dudes, man.
It was disturbing. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
It's like the ass whooping he gave Ryu was so bad. It was
Yeah.
just like, it was literally, and I've been watching a lot of videos like this on YouTube about like how you have martial arts versus fighters.
Mm-hmm.
It's like martial arts teaches you some techniques and training, but until you get into a true street fight,
Mm-hmm.
all that technique don't necessarily mean nothing.
Don't
And it was
mean
literally that personified. It was like, Ryu, yeah, you trained and did all this stuff, and yeah, cool, you sweet. Yeah, this is Guile. He's an Air Force colonel, and he don't give a damn. He's just gonna beat your ass. And
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, it's like, okay. So I highly recommend watching at least that scene.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yep.
You got Guy Gardner over there on Twitch. Hey, buddy.
Guy Gardner.
Hey, buddy. Remember Video Power? Yeah, remember Video Power as well.
Yeah, because
And
Video Power,
Brave Star,
Video Power
buddy.
had its cartoon was what was it? Bigfoot, one of the tomatoes, and an arch rivals guy.
Jesus, yes.
Yeah. And it was somebody else, too, because I remember the tomato.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Bayou,
oh, there was
wasn't
a
it
guy
Bayou
from Narc.
Billy? Wasn't it?
Was
Huh?
Bayou
Yeah.
Billy and no, was Bayou Billy?
Bayou Billy was on an episode of Captain N.
Yes,
But-
it was a guy from Narc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
guy
the
from
police.
Narc.
Yeah, the police. Yeah, one of the police guys from
Yeah,
Narc.
one of the guys
Yeah,
from Narc.
that was that cartoon was weird.
Yeah, it
man.
was. You know what? DBLK Inc. He was like, "Yeah, that fight was clean. We gonna have to revisit that. Like, we
Tyrone.
gonna have to,
Okay, yeah,
we
we'll
gonna have to pull
definitely
that up
we'll,
and
we'll
actually,
definitely do a show
yeah,
about that.
Yeah, we'll
Show
have,
about
we'll have to
Street
revisit
Fighter
that.
animation.
All right.
Yeah, just about yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be a future show, guys. That's
actually,
coming.
Yeah,
That-
Street
that's
Fighter
coming.
animation. Anyway, guys, we got to get ready to move on to the main event. We're getting close to the time, so we want to thank you for the segment. Obviously, people really loved it, so
Awesome.
we'll keep
We'll
keep
definitely
doing it.
keep this up, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep going. All right, y'all. Let's move on to the next topic.
the main event.
All right, so today, as y'all know, is April 1st. So, I mean, I don't know if y'all been pranking people today. I would hope. Well, actually, how do you prank with social distancing? I don't know if you can really do that.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it
My
through
sister
video
did it to me
conferencing.
this
I'm
morning.
sure you could.
I guess, but I mean, pranks don't mean the same thing unless you're right there and laughing at them in person. But that kind of had me thinking that, like, what are some and y'all in the chat obviously bring up what are you feel are some of the best April Fool's pranks, but in the pop culture world, EGM is notorious for April Fool's pranks. So I'm going to start off with my personal favorite, and then we'll go around the table if you will. A lot of people are thinking mine would be the April 1992, and it's not. It's actually April 1997, which is the Shenlong Returns prank for Street Fighter 3. Because that seemed doable. Like the actual method they described for that was actually felt like, oh wait, you can actually probably do that. So that seemed real. I ain't gonna lie, I actually tried it at the arcade. Did not work out, of course. But again, EGM did it again. They led Capcom to create a character, or essentially bring back a character, and now we have Gouken in Street Fighter 4, who is Akuma's brother. So I don't know. It's just funny to think that EGM had that much power.
What did you? Wasn't the whole Shenlong thing the original joke?
The original one, the original one from April 1992 was the joke where like you had to get 10 perfects. No, I'm sorry. You had to fight through the game and fight Bison to draw 10 rounds straight. Now here's the issue. A lot of people don't know this. With the original Street Fighter 2, the original build of Street Fighter 2, you could go into rounds 4, 5, 6, and beyond. Like, keep it going, essentially. If you kept drawing, you could go all the way up to round 9, and if you got to basically, if you kept having draws to round 9, the game was like, okay, both of y'all suck, and it would dump you both off of the game. So that was one impossibility, because all of the later ones were like, look, you get 3 rounds, that's it. If y'all can't figure out the fight by 3 rounds, we're done, more or less. So that was the first thing that you could not do. The other thing that they put on top of that was the person that they attributed the knowledge or the trick or the method to was somebody from, I forgot the city, but it was something Ha. Instead of HI for Hawaii, it was HA. And then the person that supposedly sent in the trick was WA Stokens. And if you kind of just phonetically say that, it's waste tokens.
And believe me, we tried.
Oh no, I didn't, because the thing is, the main thing that tipped it off for me was you can't go past round 4 in that game. The original builds you could, but the earliest arcade releases you could. But by the time this joke came around, all the arcade owners had the latest builds. So it was like, you can only go to round 4. You can't go to 10 rounds draw with Bison. Not only that, how you going to avoid Bison for 10 straight rounds?
Yes.
Not hit him and him not hit you.
With that broken-ass Psycho Crusher he had.
Yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, there was a lot of, like, ridiculousness in that. But, like, I'm going to throw it over to the chat, and while I look for this other part of this list, if, some of you guys out there, what are some of the best April Fool's pranks? Doesn't have to be games. It could be anything. That you guys have either seen or perpetrated yourselves, or even have perpetrated on you.
So Hand of Omega works at what is essentially called an essential service store. So he says one of the things he did, I pretended to cough, collapse, and die in front of customers, starting a panicked riot at my store.
Okay.
LOL. I'm also out of a job. I'm sure he's joking. I'm absolutely sure he's joking.
I would hope.
So DBLK Inc. said I thought the Rick and Morty trailer today was a fake.
Heck, I thought the closing of Star Southfield was a fake until I remember what they told us a few years ago. And I was like, oh man, saddest news ever.
Well, see,
juice.
Sometimes he forgets that sometimes old dirty Chinese restaurants got some good ass food. So it may be an old dirty, Old Dirty movie theater, but that movie theater
No.
had some cheap tickets.
I'm going to always remember
fight.
it for what it used to be,
Yeah.
not what it ended up being.
Yeah.
I know you have your own reasons for liking
Oh,
it
I remember
the way
loving.
it
I
was.
remember, back in the day as well, and it was a great theater.
It was an immaculate
and
theater.
By
it
the Washington
still
Fairlane
looked good. It's just
Theater.
the seats were kind of friggin'. They needed to do a remodel in it, and that would have been great. I wish I had
The money wasn't there.
$10 million right now. 'Cause I
AMC
would love
didn't
to
care.
buy it. And
Like if
remake
AMC
it.
really wanted to put money into, well, first if the area could support a theater of that size, that'd be
I
great.
think people
But
would still go out there.
they would if there wasn't an Imagine, or if there was, in Royal Oak or in Novi, that basically can outdo it as far as like its amenities, or even its seats and
the
things
seats
like that.
can be done. Amenities is their own fault because,
Yeah.
like you said,
They had
we
they had the hookup.
yeah. All you had to do is let people take the food into
Yes.
the gosh darn
Yeah.
theater.
They had
That
the
was
hookup.
That's
that
all
was
they had to
that was
do.
the dumbest
That was
thing
a killer.
because they had all sorts of just good. They had that real sweets place. You know what kills me when you go to I believe it's Great Lakes Crossing. They still
still got that
have the real sweets
Yes.
like area over there. I'm like
Yes.
like this thing is like dusted. Like it's been closed for like 10 years.
Yeah.
But going back to real quick on the April Fool's stuff from EGM, their very first April Fool's trick was in 1991, and it was for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. And the joke was that you could put Simon Belmont in the game and play through the game using Simon Belmont. And the worst part was, because again, this you have to remember, 91, like seeing stuff in a magazine, you weren't thinking of Photoshop. You weren't thinking of any of that stuff. You just saw that they had the icon for Simon Belmont as instead of the turtle. And like, dude, this is probably possible. So, of course, they made a code in there that you had to put in, but the code was just long enough that you couldn't input, no matter how fast you were, you couldn't input it before the title screen that faded away, because that's when you were supposed to have it done. And, so I ain't gonna lie, they got me with that one, because it was just like, dude, that sounds like a great idea. It'd be fun. Simon Belmont and Turtles. And again, they're both released by Konami, so you're thinking it's got to be possible,
Yeah.
whatever. So, and again, and it was all in good fun. And then, of course, the birth of Akuma is because of the Shenlong one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, let's see, what did they do in 93? In 93, month's new release section, after the listing for 4 games, the yet released Atari Jaguar, and Joust 2000. I know why they did that, because Tempest 2000 was that deal. Tempest 2000 was
Joust
awesome.
2000.
That was like what, the one game that the Jaguar had that everybody was like.
No, actually, the Jaguar had an Aliens vs Predator game that everybody
that's true.
still
That
talks about.
That is true. That is true.
The Atari Jaguar is as many lies as they told with that system, like it's a 64-bit system and all the other crazy stuff they made up. That system has some fun stuff on it. Like Tempest 2000 to this day, that holds up for me.
It just makes me wonder what they did, because NBA Jam was on there.
Mhm.
There was a Rayman game on there. There was a Doom. I heard the Doom wasn't all that great.
Wolfenstein was great on that though. That Wolfenstein
Wolfenstein's on
3D.
there. But it's like,
Yeah.
what stopped them from getting more high level games from publishers? That's,
The same thing that was the issue with the Saturn for a little bit, and also the PS3, hard to program for.
oh, I
Because
didn't know
remember,
it was hard.
remember they lied about it being 64-bit. It was actually 2 like 32-bit processors,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
it was
I
just
remember that.
like, but it was like, okay, well, you're doing this. How are we supposed to build for this thing? It's like, again, it's going back to that, and we all grew up in that era where it's just like, oh, there's bigger numbers and make more, and it's just like, okay, but you're making it more complex and weird.
One processor you need, and maybe a GPU, and that's it.
Yeah.
You need all that other stuff.
Right, because I mean that's what hurt the PS. Well, a lot of things hurt the PS3 when it first came out. Obviously, the extremely high price, but that cell processor, a lot of companies were like, dude, what?
what is this?
What are we supposed to do with this thing, man? So and again, that was Sony. And again, I don't mind a company throwing horsepower into something, but if it's hard to program for, man, these game developers don't give a damn. They like, look, man. We got to crank this stuff out and get it done. We can't be sitting here trying to figure out why, like on the Xbox version, okay, cool, everything's running good. On your version, we got like, why is Cell 5 saying there's an error? It's like whatever, So I
Right.
think that was always something that kind of
So
hurt them a little bit.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got an April Fool's joke, and it's actually a long-standing one that's been running for almost 5 years. It's called the Snyder Cut.
Yep.
Oh, well, if you,
That's a long running
hey,
April
hey,
Fool's joke, bro.
Hey,
So there was a report came out today that said the new Warner Media boss is liking tweets about releasing the Snyder Cut. Perfect day to do that.
Well, of course,
right?
if you're gonna troll the fandom, but no, but see, and the thing is, we've touched about the Snyder Cut before, but like the Donner Cut came out 20-something years after.
Yeah.
It did. It did. I'm just saying.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
You never know.
Keep hope alive, I suppose.
Oh,
right?
here's the one. I remember this one because everybody tried to do this.
What's that?
1998, EGM, they said that they had the all bonds cheat for GoldenEye, where you could play as all the different James
I thought
Bonds.
that wasn't true.
That was never real.
Really?
People have dug into the code of that game, and it's not real.
Just Pierce Brosnan.
Yes, just Pierce.
I did not know that.
You could never ever do Roger Moore or Sean Connery or.
Wasn't it supposed to be just the deathmatch thing? No.
That was where the joke was, centered around that, but
Oh wow.
there was, again, that was another really good Photoshop job by whoever was working at EGM, but the all bonds code is not not real. If you ever see it now, again, I'm not saying that somebody hasn't like made it happen now,
It was
but
probably.
but officially that there was never a trick for that. So. I'm sorry. Their faces are in the game's code. I take that back. All they did was bring that code up to the forefront, but it was never an official thing. They said the only way you could get that was in the Game Shark code. So, but there was no actual inputtable code to get that particular thing to happen.
Wow.
Which is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it got scrapped. It said, and it's only through for Game Sharks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They probably didn't want to pay all those people's. With
Oh
their
yeah,
likenesses or something.
it's hilarious how the whole likeness thing actually how deep that goes.
Yeah.
Because like you could literally for example, movies. The reason movies usually don't like to use old footage of films unless it's the same actor in the current film is because you literally have to go back and get permission from anybody that is seen in that scene. So like for example, there was I think there was one example was what is that? Hot Fuzz, I think it is. Isn't Hot Fuzz the one where like they open it up and they have like all of those different movies or something, like the guys are fans of like movies, so they decide to go become cops or I don't know. Anyway, there's a scene in that movie where they show a scene from another movie, in the movie. So it's like, obviously you got to get
Point Break. 'Cause I think they reference Point Break.
Yeah, it's Point Break as a matter of fact. So obviously you got to get permission from the studio that owns Point Break. Then you have to get permission from Keanu Reeves because he appeared in that scene. Then you have to get permission from Patrick Swayze because he also appeared in that scene. But for a split second, there is a extra that appears in that same scene, and they had to contact that extra to get clearance to use that scene. And if that extra said no, regardless of Keanu saying cool and Patrick Swayze saying cool, they couldn't have used it.
That is
It's
nuts.
insane how like deep that goes.
Because that was the same thing with Back to the Future Part 2, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Where they put in what's my man name? Who played George McFly, and he wasn't in there. And
Crispin
Glover.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it too? They did that.
Yeah, Crispin Glover. Yep.
And I think that it pissed him off because they didn't ask him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and again, who was that? Robert Zemeckis that did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess he felt he had,
Had the clout.
he had the clout. Like, yeah, I ain't asking nobody, nothing.
I'll do what I want in
Right.
my movie.
Oh,
Eat
goodness.
that, Ron Howard.
Smash Brothers Melee 2002 unlock Sonic and Tails code.
Well, no, Tails didn't show up, but
That's a good one. That's
Was
a really
it-
good
didn't-
one.
Didn't Midway do a couple of those things with Mortal Kombat? Like
They
the
did.
the nude code or whatever. That was
Well,
an April Fool's thing.
Wasn't
I think it was a full
wasn't there
thing.
a
nudality?
No.
That's what it is.
well,
wasn't
nudality was always an internet rumor.
wasn't there a Ed Boon or a John Tobias code where like you put them in the game or something like that? They would go in the game.
That I don't know.
Well, one of the biggest in it.
Wasn't it?
Well, yeah, Noob Saibot was the character that was their
That
names
was it,
backwards. But no, one of the biggest rumors, and it's not really an April Fool's thing. It's just it was always just an urban myth, legend, rumor thing was Ermac, and of course, eventually Ermac was actually put into the game. But Ermac was like
I think
everybody.
it's Air Machine or something like that.
Yeah, that's what everybody thought. But it was like Ermac was never actually in. It was always the shot of Ermac, the reason you get a picture of a ninja in the red outfit is because they were blue screening their moves. So even though Scorpion and Sub-Zero, yes, wear blue and yellow, there was never an actual blue and yellow costume made. It was in a red costume, which is obviously what Ermac wears, red and black, because that's the only way he's going to show up against a blue screen and be able to, be keyed out. And of course, they just adjusted his colors in games to give you Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So yeah, the Ermac thing was always an urban myth. And
So let's see, DBL King brought up the Tomb Raider noob code.
that was again another internet rumor.
I think that was a rumor. I don't think that was ever.
I don't think. Well, I don't remember if EGM brought that up. Go ahead.
It was EGM that freaking perpetuated the freaking Ermac thing. So they pushed a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
on
they
it.
did, dude.
Yeah,
But here's
They
the
made
thing.
it real.
Yeah, all their and I have to give EGM credit for that because a lot of their stuff was it started off as rumors and it pissed you off. But like Akuma exists because of EGM. Yeah. Goken is in the game, in Street Fighter 4 because of EGM. Ermac is in Mortal Kombat.
And in fact, DBLK Inc. said Ermac was still for Aero Macro.
Aero Macro, not Aero Machine. There you go.
Yeah, Aero Macro. Yeah.
Oh, that's just hilarious.
EGM were the masters of this, man.
Oh yeah,
They were
and again,
so good at it.
and it was literally before it was the internet. Yes, existed, but it was before the internet became what it is now, where you could easily debunk stuff, and you had EGM, and unfortunately is a defunct magazine now. They don't exist. Yeah, because they were a classic. They were awesome, but their April Fool's jokes, and again, they even got to a point where they just turned it into a section for April. It was just like, look, we all know this is ridiculous because you started getting to the point where like the internet was like booming, and like with social media and stuff, anything you say now, any of their jokes would be like somebody will just grab the game, dig into the code. No, it's not real. It within like a minute of them putting it out there. So it's just like, it takes some of the fun out of it, but they do exist. Go ahead.
I did see April Fool's this morning. I was watching it. There's a YouTuber out there.
Oh yeah, here's one. Yeah.
There's a YouTuber out there called Sega Lord X, and I look at his stuff every once in a while, and it was like Resident Evil 2 on a Saturn. I was like, wait a minute. I know Resident Evil 1 came out of the Saturn. And I was like, and he had the box. It wasn't like a Photoshop. He had it sitting next to Resident Evil had the disc, and I was like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on? So I watched this thing. He started talking about it, and it was like, yeah, it was one of those things that they were supposed to be making and supposed to use a format cart, and then it got canceled, which all could have been true. And I was like, because I remember hearing something. I was like, so this guy get a copy of it or something like that? And then I was like, oh, it's April 1st. Come on.
Last one I was going to bring up, actually, John P. actually had this one. He said the guy in flames on Mortal Kombat 2 background in the pit was a miss. And the pit stage was a miss.
I think they put him in Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
Oh, you mean as far as playable?
Yeah.
Because all it really was the Liu Kang sprite.
Yeah.
And just set on fire.
Yeah.
Not sprite, but the character basically.
Was that Armageddon the one they had everybody in there?
Armageddon had a ton of characters.
They
pretty much brought in everybody, and then they put in some really bad characters.
Like Meat.
Meat was in there. Moloch, Su Hao. There was this. Mortal Kombat is obviously a very storied fighter and very great franchise, but man, they had some stinkers.
They really
as
did.
far as characters, and then
Mortal Kombat
remember
Sub-Zero.
Cobra and Mocap and all. It's just like, okay, it's like I get it, y'all are having fun, but can we get back to that?
Dude, like the Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero.
Oh, Mythology Sub-Zero, dude.
The Sub-Zero platformer.
Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. That was one of the only games that backwards compatibility did not exist for on the original PS3.
Yeah.
The original PS3, you put that game in, it's just like,
nope.
You telling me seriously?
It would,
Sub-Zero does not work.
That was it might now, but at least at the time I tried it, because you remember I have that game. At the time I tried it, that my PS3 was just sitting there like, it wasn't giving me no error. It was just like,
did you get the other one?
Which one?
With the one Jackson Sonya?
Hell no. Special Forces was pure garbage. But here's the thing. I actually I ain't going to say I liked it. Mortal Kombat Mythologies was one of those, I played it to the point where like, look, damn it, I'm beating this. It became a challenge to myself. because that game was
Like
just
a
so,
matter of principle.
Yeah, it was just like, dude, I paid money for this. I'm beating this thing.
Bro, why
But-
the hell is Special Forces like $65?
Because
eBay?
okay. Here's the thing. This is probably what happened with Special Forces. Somebody bought it. Word got around like, do not buy this game. Stores probably didn't even get a chance to bargain bin it. So there's probably only in the world 4 copies in actual hands right now. So that's why that game is
my
probably.
gosh. Sealed $200
No,
if
no,
you
I'm
get
good.
one sealed.
Hey,
Yeah, no, I'm good.
$75.
again, it's one of those bad games that. Here's the thing. There's reasons why Super Mario Brothers, even sealed, ain't okay. Sealed is probably worth because it's over 30 years old.
Yeah.
But regular copies of Mario ain't worth nothing because everybody owned it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game that not a lot of people own. Probably it's just they all probably got shipped back to Midway, and Midway was boxing up all their belongings and was it Midway that closed?
Midway got bought out by
They got bought out.
Warner Brothers bought them.
Yeah, so all their paperweights and stuff was copies of Mortal Kombat Special Forces. So they
That's
probably
hilarious.
just left boxes of that stuff in the warehouse. Like, dude, ain't nobody buying this.
That's funny. All right, y'all. So it's after 10:30. That was the show. We had a great time entertaining you. It was a really good show. Actually,
yeah, it was a good show.
For
Shout out to
April
Adobo
Fools.
Girl for the Power Is Yours segment.
Yes,
'cause
that was her idea, her baby.
brainchild.
That was her brainchild. So she needs to take all the credit for that. I think it went over very well. We'll have to definitely bring it back in future segments for sure. But we're gonna wrap up the show now.
Is
and
Super
go
Nerd
ahead and
fall
get out of
asleep?
this. I think we'd have heard him snoring by now.
Oh, probably, I guess so.
Yeah, we probably would have heard him snoring by now if he was asleep. He probably is under quarantine control. The police came and got him and put him
Yeah,
up.
so, hey,
So anyway,
DBO, we appreciate that comment, sir.
What's
He
that?
says he thinks it's great that a group of black men can come together and do something positive. Keep it up.
That is
Appreciate you.
Spread
That
the
is
word and share
incredible.
us.
Yeah, spread the word.
Let
Bring
everybody
your
else
friends. Turn everybody on to the Culture Junkies. We're only going to grow with support of great fans like you and the other junkies that are over there on Facebook and on Twitch. Come back next week, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central for episode 207 of Culture Junkies Live. Our inbox is open. Give us topic suggestions for things that you guys want to see us discuss with you on our program. We value each and every one of you that hangs in there with us or watches on replay over on our YouTube channel. If you have not yet, please head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/culturejunkies. And if you are so inclined, do support the Culture Junkies. You can do it for as low as $1. That's not a beg. That's just, we just hope that you.
It exists.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
exists. It's there for you. So anyway, guys, we had a great time entertaining you. We'll be back next week, as I told you. So for my friends GQ, the Great Daidakuji, and Super Nerd Plus, wherever he may be, I am Kenshiro. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Wash your hands, too.
Wash them hands.
Yeah. Stay clean.